So we're seeing anywhere from 6 to 14-day improvements in our numbers, still seeing some hiccups, ups and downs. Do you think that's enough to warrant moving forward, or would you like some more time on the data?
Well, I'm always going to tell you that I would like to see more time. I'm also very concerned to make sure that we figure out how we're going to manage going forward in terms of identifying what do we need to do to pull back if we have to pull something back. I'd like to see us, when we get to the point that we decide we're going to do this, to be able to have a plan so that we pick and choose small things, small operations that do not have a lot of people involved in them. In other words, for example, like we did the hair salons. They've done a great job in identifying how they would distance. They've done a great job doing that. There are things that we could open that do not involve huge masses. Now, when the schools open, then we're going to have huge numbers that we're going to have to worry about. I don't want to look like Martin County at all, and I'm not picking on Martin County, but I don't want to look like any of the counties that have had then to close down a school, for example. That's not necessary. We need to be able to measure that very carefully and be able to have testing available so that we know who is positive and who needs to be quarantined versus, I mean, just think of kids in school. They all have sniffles. All flu season, every kid has sniffles. We cannot be putting every child out that has a sniffle. Now, we're going to tell the parents, don't send your child to school if they're sick. But a child doesn't need to stay home for 14 days if they have a cold. They usually get over in 2 or 3. So we have to be able to determine how do we do that. So I think we still have a lot of things to work through before we're ready to take that plunge. And we're going to be taking that plunge at the same time that the flu season is coming. So I was almost going to call you Dr. Weinroth, but Commissioner Weinroth's concerned about the flu. So I think we all have to keep all those things in mind and be able to be selective in what we open, not just open everything at one time.
So I was on a call earlier this week with one of the members of the school board who I asked the question, if the county were to move forward in just a partial phase 2 reopening, not a full, but a partial, like we had discussed earlier this summer, would that still trigger the school reopening? And the legal opinion that came back through that school board member was if we even dip our toe into the phase 2 pool, they have to reopen, which is unfortunate. I don't think the county commission's hands should be so tied. But in utopia, how long would you like to see us in phase 2 before we let all the kids go back to school?
That's a very hard question to ask because the school board has to be ready to open. It's not just about us going into phase 2. They have to have things in their school ready to be able to handle the kids. I mean, even discussing the lunch situation. So I think the school has to do a lot of things in preparation to open. And if the school is at that point, then I think we need to work together. And if they open, we would have to then take that population into consideration along with the universities that are also going to be opening to have time to see what happens. We will have probably a small uptake, but how far? How much of that? What do we do? I think we have to have those conversations before making, I don't think it's a one answer question. It's not a number that I need to give you. I want more to think about the process and what we're going to be looking at in order to do that.
Well, according to their plan and their orders from the Florida Commissioner of Education, they have 1 week. Do you feel that that's sufficient preparation time?
1 week is a blink, but we would have to have that conversation. And I think we've been having conversation. I know Ms. Baker has been working and talking together, myself and Dr. Fenoy and the chair of the board. So I think those are conversations that we still need to do a lot more talking.